First Mining Gold announced today that it acquired the Duparquet Gold Project, a deal company chair Keith Newmark called transformational. CEO Dan Wilton is here to explain. Dan, welcome back to Kitco.
Michael, great to see you. Thanks for having me.
Dan, highlight the transaction for us. What did First Mining acquire?
So we're actually haven't quite acquired it yet, but we are making an offer to acquire and have hard lockups from the shareholders to acquire the balance of the ownership of the companies that own the Duparquet Gold Project in Quebec. So this is a project that is 3 million ounces plus of indicated. Combined, we're going to have more than 2 million ounces of inferred on top of that. And really consolidating a district in an advanced stage project that, quite frankly, a bunch of the market has forgotten about.
Now, people know First Mining through Springpole. This project is located in Quebec, and I believe that it is also brownfields. Is that correct, Dan?
It is. This was the Duparquet, or the Beattie Gold Mine, which is one of the constituent parts, was in the 1930s the largest gold producer in the province of Quebec. And produced for 20 years. The Dorchester project produced as well. Our Duquesne project, which is about 15 kilometers to the east of those two, all past producers, great infrastructure, well understood metallurgy. And importantly, a lot of people don't appreciate how much work was done on this project by Clifton Star and their partners from 2008 to 2014. 260,000 meters of drilling in this project, a really comprehensive metallurgical program, environmental baseline studies, like all the things that would normally cost you millions and millions of dollars and take years to do. We're starting with a great hand in this project.
Now, announcing the deal, it was saying that the opportunity was just right at this time. Maybe just talk about where you were in the past with the deal with Duparquet, and then noting that the ownership that you called fragmented has now been cleaned up.
Yeah, so I mean, we acquired a 10% interest in each of the companies that are the owners of both parts of Duparquet, the Beattie and the Dorchester, and then the company that owns the surface rights. So Clifton Star had earned into 10%. You recall that, and then in 2014, Clifton couldn't complete its last option earn-in payments. It was a big cash payment, kind of due in that 2015 timeframe. They couldn't make that payment, but they had earned into the 10%. So First Mining acquired Clifton Star in 2016, and so when I started in 2019, really almost immediately went to go meet our partners at this project, understand sort of what they wanted to achieve out of it, where their heads were. A lot of the interest was concentrated with a family. And the family, some members of the family had owned this project since the 1950s. So a long history with it. And I think, what we're delighted to have happening here is really our partners taking a view. I think that First Mining has the capability to really move this project forward. And it has a lot to do with the team that we've put together, particularly on the environment and community relations side with Steve Lyons, our VP Environment and Community Relations. Steve and his team spent, 6.5 years permitting the Hard Rock project in Ontario, which is actually remarkably similar to Duparquet. Past producing mine, a little bit of an environmental legacy from having, had an arsenopyrite roaster there. That was all taken into account in what is essentially a development plan and a cleanup plan combined. And that's kind of the strategy I think that we're going to bring to Duparquet as well.
One of the opportunities you highlighted was you have quite an old pre-feasibility study on Duparquet that you're looking forward to updating.
Yeah, that study was done in 2014. And when you go back to look at it, interestingly, done at a time of Canadian dollar gold price was about 1,200. So we're sitting, in these depressed gold markets, we're sitting at 2,200 today. So just a very different experience. And a big part of it was the exchange rate at the time, Michael. Like it was, Canadian dollar was 10% above parity with the US in 2014. So that's really dramatically changed when you're looking at the Canadian dollar gold price. But not just that. I think, the Clifton Star was a well thought out plan. It looked at a couple of different processing methods, but for us, I think there is a real opportunity here that inside that resource that's there, when you look at grade tonnage curves, you actually have potential for a good starter open pit that could be 1,000,000 ounces at 2 grams plus. Look around Canada and tell me where you're going to find another 1,000,000 ounce deposit at 2 grams plus off the highway, 40 kilometers outside of Rouyn-Noranda on the power grid. Like, the infrastructure here is unbelievable. So we think it really is an interesting opportunity, and we're very excited to kind of roll up our sleeves and get at it. This is exactly the kind of project that we love to work on. Has a lot of similarities with Springpole in that, really well understood and well drilled out. It's got all kinds of opportunities there that you can really sink your teeth into.
We're going to get to your flagship, Springpole, but what's the future looking forward to Duparquet? What are the milestones over the next 12 months, Dan?
Well, first thing, we need to get the acquisition closed, but that's with now between our ownership and the ownership that's locked up, it's about 97%. So, and these are hard lockups, they're irrevocable commitments. So the deal is going to close in the middle of September. We're expecting that pretty quickly thereafter, we should produce an updated resource, which we've been working on as we've been moving this forward. And move from there into trade-off studies, immediately starting environmental baseline updating, because there was a thorough environmental baseline study done in 2012, 2013. So I think it gives us a great starting point, but to be able to update that work, and then immediately into trade-off studies on how would you scope the project from, potentially, as I said before, start small and expand it scenario, versus looking at the ultimate size of this project, which we think is going to be, 5 million ounces plus falling into a big open pit.
Now, Duparquet is in Quebec. Take us to Ontario and bring us up to date with your flagship Springpole, Dan.
Springpole, we're not forgetting about Springpole for sure. We're actually at a really interesting time, particularly on the permitting side, where we have completed the draft environmental assessment. That's been published. And that's now in large part in the hands of regulators, going through, looking at the baseline data, looking at that draft EA, and coming back to us with comments. So we're expecting to get a lot of those back over between now and the end of the year. We'll understand kind of what really the sensitivities and the next steps are. Still working with the Indigenous communities in the area and moving forward with a couple of the communities. And a few of the communities trying to sort of figure out a plan to move forward in terms of how they want to undertake their own assessment of the project. But those are the main points on the environmental assessment side. And then on the feasibility study side, the feasibility study is coming together. Most of the trade-off studies have been done. Some of the data collection that we did over the winter and spring is now kind of being compiled, and we're launching just sort of systematically through all of the feasibility level work that is targeting having a feasibility study done about this time next year.
Dan, thanks for speaking with Kitco.
Michael, always a pleasure. Thanks for having me.
He is the CEO of First Mining Gold, Dan Wilton. My name is Michael McRae, and you're watching Kitco Mining.